For the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since we have a new school year, also, instead of a moment of silence, if you would like to join me, I'm going to have a little prayer for our district since we're starting the year. Father, we thank you for letting us be here to represent the students in our district. And we ask, Lord, that you would bless them this year, give them strength, wisdom, and peace. Help our teachers, give them the strength they need to get through the year and the knowledge they need. For all the other staff at AC Valley, we ask the same thing, that you would bless us, keep us safe, keep our district safe, and help us to do the best things that we can do to make our students productive citizens. And we ask this in Christ's name.
Amen. Okay, we'll have a roll call of members.
Clifford Adams,
Here.
Patty Anderson,
Here.
Carrie Armglass. Here. John Burke.
Here.
Grady White.
Here.
Diane Page. Here. Jeff Powell.
Here.
Rick Sunderland.
Here.
Kelly Stroger.
Here. Okay, would anybody like to make a motion that we waive the reading and approve the official minutes from the July 8th workshop meeting?
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. At this time, we're going to take a small break for personnel reasons for an executive session, and then we'll be back to continue on with the meeting. So we have a presentation in the conference room. Okay, Ms. Whitman carries, okay.
Yeah, so.
All right, we're gonna go, continue with our meeting. We thank you for waiting while we had an executive session for some personnel reasons, so we'll move on to public participation. Do we have anybody that would like to, address the board this evening? Okay, would you please come to the podium and state your name? And, we are gonna follow our 5-minute policy that we have as far as speakers.
Hello, my name is Michael Buchholz. I'm a concerned parent. I was here for the special meeting regarding football, so I have a couple of things to follow up with on that. In getting prepared for that, I also had some other concerns that have come up. So I'll just get started. In February of 22, this board approved a preliminary design for the field's improvements, $3,500 to geotech engineering. There has been no minutes to follow up on that. Cyber education was stated that it can be done much cheaper in-house. In March 22, there was an agreement with Titusville School District. And my question to you as a board is, why are we partnering with another school district when we are capable of doing this ourselves? We are also charging $2,626.58 for each sport for outside cyber school students. Students that could be participating in our sports, upping our numbers, and letting us actually have teams. That policy alone is detrimental to our teams, to our sports, and it makes absolutely no sense. Them coming here does not cost $2,226. There is no way, per sport. The WTSU has a lot of issues for me. In my opinion, the only reason we are doing that is because it has brought in extra money to the district. There is nothing that is beneficial to the students of this district. It has, however, provided raises for administrators who have additional duties and responsibilities that are not being put forth towards our students. So we have raises, we brought money in, and we're giving our students less. In May of 24, $706,766 was spent on equipment at WTSU to train in trades of skilled labor. Highly commendable. My question is, do our students at AC Valley have access to that? And if not, why? Why are we spending $700,000 in something that is secure treatment that our children do not get the opportunity to use? January 22 until present, there has not been one note in the notes from the meetings of this board where there has been an investment in our current students. The only investments that this board has made at all in the last 2 years has come from grant money. So what are you planning? What are you doing? There is nothing proactive here. You wait on grants and then you react to what you've been approved for. In June of 24, you approved Knox Law as general solicitor for $195 per hour or $180 per hour, depending on who performs those services. My question is, why do we have a solicitor at this district? Well, we are paying $195, $180 to $195 an hour for those same services. In July of '24, you approved to waive youth football fees due to planned football field maintenance. And my question is, what was the field maintenance that was planned? Because I didn't hear anything about that at the last meeting. I want to know what the plan was. Because the only plan that was presented to us at the last meeting was that you were going to call the insurance company. That's not a plan.
You need to wrap things up, so you have 15 seconds.
Finally, nepotism. Nepotism is an issue. All right? There's many things that can come from this, both perceived and actual conflicts, such as favoritism and personal conflicts from outside. Many organizations have certain policies regarding this.
Okay, your time is up at this point. So I want to thank you for your comments. Would anybody like to address anything from the board?
I could address a few of those questions that you had, sir. Titusville has a online education program where they have teachers that are working with other school districts. We chose that option just as another option. We do run our own online program through Edgenuity, and that's why we thought that we try to attract more students back into the district with that additional option and live teachers face-to-face. Outside cyber costs, we took the overall cost of running the sports program, divided it into the number of students, and we're charging the outside cyber schools that cost of just over $2,000. So
How many participants do you have?
we don't have any. I think we've had none over the years.
Thank you.
As far as our students, we do have the Career Center for post-vocational programming. We use that grant that you had referenced earlier for the vocational program at the Western Secure Treatment Unit. And we didn't choose to open up that program. It's the school district's obligation. So if those programs are within the boundaries of that particular school district, we have to operate the program. And the reason why we have received the grant to help support individual employees and their work up there, as well as hiring on other employees, because we have to bill home school districts for the cost of educating those kids, and it could have taken us years before we built up enough money to be able to hire staff members.
Well, why didn't you start in the first place before getting everything in place?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Why would you not get that into place before implementing it?
Because the PDA gave us a timeline to get started with these students.
And they just called us and told us.
Because for the last 2 years, it seems like more priority has been given to this WTSU than any of the students entirely. Elementary, high school, the whole entire school district. Read through your minutes.
I think you're incorrect on that, but I will also say again to reiterate what our
I read the minutes,
superintendent.
Kelly.
That's a great job. Thank you for reading the minutes. PDE has required
Please
us
don't
to.
talk down to me.
PDE has required us to have the program. We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have to do it, but it's required. We have no choice on that.
My question still
Take it
stands.
up with your
My
legislator.
question still stands. Do our students have opportunities to use those?
That equipment, no, because they can't physically go into that building. And that money came all from the state. None of that is your money. Okay, we're gonna move on. I understand that. You have an
If you're
issue
gonna
with it.
administer the program.
Take it to your,
if our
take it to your
resources are going to that
legislator.
program,
And also your question about youth football, you need to talk to them because it was their plan to work on the field. We compensated them or
Absolutely not, it is
asked.
your minutes.
Yes, and it was their plan to work on the football field. You can talk to them.
No.
Okay, is there
I will
anyone else that
quote-
wants to approach the board?
I will quote your minutes.
Yes, sir, but it is the football field.
$3,500 was approved for geotech engineering. There are no minutes to follow that.
I'm talking about
I'm not talking
July
about-
24th.
I'm not talking about that.
Okay,
I'm talking
thank you.
about
We're gonna
February
move on. Is there
22nd.
anyone else that would like to approach the board this time? Yes. I think we're beating a dead horse here, so we'll move on.
I think you're just not answering the question.
My name is Jennifer Russell, and I'm here on behalf of the AC Valley Cross Country Team. I saw that the letter we submitted to the board is on today's minutes, and I hope that you all had a chance to read it. It addresses many of our concerns, and so I'm not going to rehash everything. I would like to highlight some of our key concerns. For one, I want to know why it took so long for our cross-country coach's resignation to be approved by the board and for the new job to be approved and posted. we only had 2 weeks to formally find a coach. Another concern that I have is why we were suddenly restricted to a 15 athlete minimum in order to have a team. We currently have at least 8 kids between ACV and Union signed up with all of their paperwork turned in. We also had a number of cyber students who were interested in running, but for some reason they are ineligible, and I don't understand that either. But we have never had a 15 kid minimum before in all of our history of having a cross-country team. And this is going back at least 20 years when I was a student. These kids want to run, and I feel very strongly that they should be allowed to run. If it's a budget issue or a transportation issue, the AC Valley Cross Country Boosters has already offered support on that front. We will do whatever we can to support this team. And finally, we asked if we would be able to run with Keystone if the board decides not to, or the district decides not to support a home team. We were told in no uncertain terms that we were not allowed to pursue that option and that we must run independently. We are already piggybacking off of Keystone's schedule. The coach has welcomed us with open arms if we would like to run with them, and many of the parents have expressed that they would love to have us there as well. We would have more numbers and actually be able to compete through those schools as a full team. Finally, I just want to beg you, let these kids run. Please let these kids run. They are very committed. It's a hard sport. And without it, some of these kids have no other athletic interest. Some of these kids want a letter this year. They want the opportunity to compete for districts and states. And they want to be part of the team. So please, let these kids run. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any comments? Not hearing any, we'll move on. Or is there anyone else that needs to address the board this evening, or would like to? Okay.
My name is Ashley Lindeman, and I'm also a concerned parent of the cross-country team. To start, I just want to point out my daughter, Aaliyah. Last year, she ran 2 seasons of junior high cross-country, and last year alone, she placed 4th in KSACs, 3rd in junior high championships, and in the top 10 for 3 invitationals that we went to. There is also Gus here that is on the team, and I feel like as a parent, it is, hard to look at these kids and tell them that they, do not deserve the opportunity to compete in a sport that they love. I also looked at the KSAC numbers from last year, and out of the 9 teams that we have in our district, 7 of those teams have under 20 kids. 3 of them have under 15, which obviously AC Valley was included in that, but also Keystone and Montauk. And all of these schools, 7 of those 9 were able to support a small cross-country program. The only schools that were over 20 were CL and Cranberry. And I can't speak on CL's numbers, but Cranberry, I know their graduating classes are over 100. So of course, they would have a larger team, to be able to support that program. I also wanted to point out, I'm not sure about numbers, but I would assume that the golf team, I don't know if those kids have 15. I've heard that there's very small participation in that program that is still able to continue today. Also wanted to point out last year for junior high softball, we had 12 girls when we started that was Union and AC Valley, and none of that program was supported with transportation with the varsity or junior high softball. We were able to use, a van to bus those kids. Mid-season, we had 1 girl drop out. We all know, softball, baseball, you have to have 9, and there was games where, we barely had those 9, but we were still able to support that program. Like Jen said, we think about 8 kids, but without that coach being able to push them, to get physicals and everything turned in, I've been a part of many athletic programs and I've always seen, the coaches basically saying, we need to get those turned in by this time, or, your kid can't participate. But being we didn't have a coach to be able to push kids, I feel like we, lost a few of those that could have, or, wanted the opportunity to run. I know that in May, on May 14th was when the cross-country coach submitted her resignation, and the following day, there was acknowledgement of that resignation. So in that time, kids were still, signing up for cross-country, and we wouldn't even have known that, there was only going to be a small select, students that would participate. So I feel like there was just a lapse that, the coach wasn't hired, and then that made us lose the opportunity. We were told, the kids could run independently, but as we've, come across and kind of followed those guidelines, it seems like that's a very hard task to do. Parents would have to pick the kids up at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't know about everybody, but I have a full-time job that's, a hard thing to commit to. On top of that, when kids at Union were addressing, the concerns, their athletic director said that every parent had to have clearances turned in to the PIAA to be able to coach their independent runner. So it just seems like, as we get closer to the season where it should be starting, we're finding out more and more that, we would have to do to be able to independent run because of, the decision of not wanting to have a team. I think running with Keystone, as, Jen said, the coach is more than willing. We have to run at their course anyways, and with having a small team, I would think, the cost of the transportation would be low because we have vans that, if we only have 6, 8 kids, I don't know how big these vans are, but you would think that you wouldn't have to pay to bus the kids, to Keystone to have their needs. I would think that the cost would be, even lower with the amount of kids.
Can you wrap those up?
Yeah, that is actually all that I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything we want to add as far as, I believe to have a co-op, that would be a PIAA decision which requires a process. I don't think that can happen in 2 weeks, am I correct, Mr. Sherman?
No, we would have to submit a request to have a co-op. I mean, that was part of that whole process last year when we were talking with Keystone about co-oping, and they didn't have any interest at that time. We would have to submit the request. It would go before the committee, the District 9 committee, and then the state committee 2 weeks after that. So it would be, the season would basically be over for this year.
So that could be looked into for next year if it's a decision
Absolutely.
based on the numbers. Okay.
If the board would like, I could reach out to Keystone and their administration, see if that would be something to consider.
Thoughts? I mean, I don't think it would be an issue to investigate it. I think that would be a good idea. Anybody else?
I think we need to address some of the other questions that they have, because we haven't had the opportunity to do that. We have some of us had a couple of delegated on numbers, and that is not 15 runners in one team, how that's divided up. I just feel like we have to be a little bit more transparent here and address some of the concerns, because these are things that have not been brought to a public forum yet. So we haven't had the chance to really address.
So, Mr. Sherman, what you kind of explained to the board earlier, can you kind of explain how those numbers and the numbers we actually do have, not the 12 that was quoted in the article?
The actual numbers that we have are 5 from AC Valley, 2 varsity, 1 varsity girl, 1 varsity boy runner, and 3 junior high. Union makes their cyber kids do things a little differently. I can't really explain what they do with that. They make them submit paperwork to the cyber school. So by the time they get that back, they're kind of not even probably gonna be eligible, which takes it down to around 8 kids total. To compete, a full team in cross-country is 5 runners. So we have 4 different levels. Junior high boys, junior high girls, varsity girls and boys, which would be 20 total kids to compete.
We've never had that.
To be able to score a meet. That said, we've never had that, very rarely. Which means we can't host meets. We can't expect a team with 25 kids to come here and run an exhibition basically, and maybe run one varsity meet or boy meet, girl meet, whichever, because we don't have a team at any other level. So that's why we've had to piggyback. And that number came in a joint meeting with Union. We were having a discussion about cross-country, and their numbers were down, as were ours. And one of their board members brought up potentially having a limit. And if they didn't have a certain number of kids, they were not going to bother sending. It was one of the other conversations that we had. So I think in that discussion, 20 full complement of athletes, that number 20 came up, so the number 15 came up, putting a number out there. If we don't have enough kids signed up, 15 became that number, then we probably wouldn't move forward. And that's where it came out of that athletic community meeting with the union.
Yeah, Union was part of that discussion, so it's
Yes.
not just AC Valley, Union's involved with this as well as it's a co-op team. Gary, anything else?
I'm looking at my notes, sorry.
And if there isn't a team this year, we can always try again next year. It's not like this is a one and done, or never have to cross country again. That's
No,
correct.
we're not going to can it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not the plan. And that's, I spoke with the parents, I've been emailing with Jen throughout the summer, trying to be very,
Transparent.
transparent, thank you, that's what I was looking for. And be upfront with them. And I told them that our numbers were not looking good, and I would assist them, whatever way I could with trying to get, if we weren't going to offer a team, give their kids the opportunity to run independently.
Do you think maybe we should meet again with the union's athletic committee to maybe talk about that number thing? Maybe that 15 is a little high?
For next year,
Yes.
I think we need to set numbers for every sport. I think it'll be, so that we're not picking a sport that we should, excuse me, I'm talking.
The same amount of runners.
Excuse me.
Per.
Excuse me, I'm talking. We talked about as a board the fact that we probably should, to make things fair, every sport would be looked at individually. You can't set a number across the board and say, this is the total number. Every sport has to be looked at individually. I don't think that would be a bad idea. That's something we can discuss as a board and see if we would like to do that.
Well, the example that I gave, and we had discussed this earlier, when I was coaching girls basketball, VC had 3 girls, negative Catholic, had 3 girls on their team one year that all went on to play Division II basketball. They hands down won districts with 8 girls. I don't know how they practiced, but they were very good. It's hard to just throw a number out there and say, well, we look at the golf team. The golf team scores 6 kids. If they have 8, they're in good shape. So it's different by sport. And that's what Kelly's getting at, is we're going to have to evaluate just how many we need at each level. And so that's something that we may have to do in the future here.
Kids shouldn't be punished for growing up rural.
I think we offer them a great opportunity in the rural area, and we're doing the best we can to do that.
So
Also,
why
that was
put a number on a sport that is very low cost. It doesn't take any of your grounds up. They can run down on the bike trail for practices if necessary. There has been schools that have had cross-country teams that were one child running. Yeah, they can't win in any team event, but they can always place independently. And it is good fundamental learning, and it creates a strong work ethic.
And we're offering them that chance to run independently, I think. I don't think we're trying to keep them from competing.
No, but you are
Okay.
making it
Is there
impossible.
any other public participation? At this point, we're gonna move on to
Are you
presentations.
gonna answer anything, or are you just gonna ignore everybody and move on?
Excuse
to
me,
the
sir,
next
but
thing?
you've had your chance to speak.
I did, but I didn't get
Responded.
answers.
We're gonna
And
move
that's
on to
what I expect when I
presentations.
come,
At this
and that's
time, we
what-
have ACV and the Westview support staff with updates.
It's gonna go later, I just wanna ask one thing. Is there gonna be a vote at some point on whether the kids can run to the school or independent before the night's over? Because the season.
We can't make that decision. Union's involved in this as well.
Okay, I wasn't, well, since they're just AC Valley kids, I think the union kids are taking it to their own school board, because it would be an independent. The kids would run independent, not for the school, but we need permission from the school board with the season, actually, I think Keystone's first invitational's next Saturday. So, I just wanna know.
Yeah, I think we have that on here to vote for those
Or are
people
we
that
gonna
turned
have
in.
to just scrap this season and hope for one next year?
No, if letters were turned in, we're gonna vote on it.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's, I just wanted to know if we were gonna
Yes,
vote tonight. Okay.
Yes.
That's all I
Okay,
wanted to
we're
know.
gonna move on to presentations.
I raised my hand. Am I allowed to speak or no? Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick, Len Myers, just had a couple questions. Where did we end up with the track thing? Or the cross country? We're just canceling or?
Yeah,
Be
they-
serious. What's the end result? I think that this gentleman.
Anyone
What's
who
next?
wants to participate can run independently,
Okay.
and they would have.
What are you
letters
doing to
and see-
support that?
That's what I was questioning.
Yes.
I looked over the budget. How do I, as a parent, get more granular in that? It's very superficial. Just I didn't see the. Am I allowed to look deeper into that?
Yeah, our by state law, we have to publish our budget for 30 days before it's,
When is that? Just so I know.
those dates usually are May, and we have to vote in June. Usually, that's why our meeting is later in the month, because of that 30-day time period. You can stop in anytime and look through the budget.
Would you stop in here at the office?
Yes.
Okay. Anytime during that window or anytime like now or whatever.
Well,
It's a public budget.
yeah,
So anytime, okay.
Yeah. but if you want to see it before it's finally approved, there's that 30-day window.
I got you, I follow you. How do I go about running for the board?
Well, I don't know if that's a question for us, that's a legislative thing, but you put paperwork in at the state, at the Clarion County Courthouse.
So
You
go
have
to
to get a
Clarion.
ballot, you have to get something signed, a petition, and then that's turned in, and then your name's on the ballot.
So if I go to the courthouse and I ask the same question, they'll be like, okay, do this, do this, do
Yeah,
this.
when the terms are up, you have to wait till the terms are up.
Where do I see it?
Tammy has some information.
Oh, that'd
There
be
you
great,
go.
thank you. Thank you. Those were the questions I had, I appreciate it, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're gonna move on to some presentations tonight. One of the things that the board is hoping to do more this year is to recognize our staff and the good things that they're doing in the district. So at this point, the ACV and Westview support staff are gonna talk to us a little bit about what's going on up there and how they're supporting that program.
I'll go ahead and get started, and then we'll have the staff members come up to the mic and introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their role at the West 2 program. I know we've had a lot of discussion. It's been a hot topic since May of 23, whenever the Bureau had contacted the school district and informed us that a correction facility will be starting up in the Allegheny Industrial Park. And according to the BEC, it's a basic education circular 1306, we're responsible for the educational obligation of the students. So how that works is once the student becomes a resident of the district, they're considered homeless. So the home school has to complete a 4605, and then we're responsible for the educational obligations. With that being said, the initial plan was to have a program that held 60 kids up there, and this all came about because of the city of Philadelphia's overcrowd, and they had sued the state for that. So there's 6 of these programs that have started up over the Commonwealth, and we didn't ask for it, but it's our obligation at this time. So we had developed a plan, a 3-phase implementation plan, because initially we couldn't hire on a bunch of staff members to be able to provide this education. So we decided to use our online learning program, the Ingenuity. So I got Julie Raybuck and the 2 technicians, Jeff Raybuck and Aaron Howell, involved as I started to develop the budget. We continue to have bi-weekly meetings with the Department of Human Services, the Bureau of Juvenile Justice, and the Pennsylvania Department of Education as far as what that delivery looks like. I explained to them that rural northwestern Pennsylvania doesn't have enough revenue in our reserve to hire on a bunch of teachers and start a program brand new. So I've written a grant for that. It was $2.35 million last year as well as this year to run the program up there. And we talked a little bit about some of the staff members that we have in place. All certified teachers in the core content area. We do have a couple special subject area teachers, and then we have money in the budget for a principal up there as well. And instead of hiring brand new staff members, because the program was being developed quickly, because they started in November of 23, that we couldn't train a bunch of auxiliary staff. So we took our experts and asked them to do a little bit extra. So that was part of the reason why the budget was approved. You know, we had anticipated that the grant money coming in and running that program was about 20% of our own overall budget. So we had anticipated that these staff members would be doing 20% more work, but it would also impact 30% of that staff member's day if we're doing reports or building agendas or whatever it may be. So we were able to make the argument that 50% of the staff member salary and benefits should go underneath the grant. And it was approved in PD, it was approved in this budget as well. So we're asking our staff members to do a little bit more, but we're also compensating them for their extra time. With that being said, we have to ensure that Chapter 4, Chapter 15, and Chapter 16 regulations are being implemented so the kids are being provided with an adequate education. If they have specially designed instructional needs, we're able to present that to them as well. So we created a school district on the run. And then with that being said, it's a correction facility as well. The students, have had a difficult time up until they were brought into the facility. So we work in conjunction with the Rite of Passage program. They're governed by a basic education circular. It's called the 3800, and they have to provide the residential program. Within that 3800 reg, it shows that they cannot have a educational program as well as the residential program. So we're partners in this. We all work in the same facility, and they help to support the educational program. And I work with program director Jim Town to make sure that happens. According to the reg, we have 2 of the residential staff members per 12 kids, and kids are broken into units of 12, and they help to support the educational program going on during the day. So I work with our staff members. Currently, I've been serving as the principal up there since the middle of June, and I provide reports to the school directors. We make recommendations for hiring, supervising, managing the staff members up there, conducting classroom observations and visits. I spend 1 day a week up there. I station myself in the hallway. I help to maintain the discipline and the education and keep people safe. We continue to focus in on that educational delivery. We're able to hire on a director of education. We're able to pay 50% of the salary and benefits to be able to develop and implement curriculum up there to potentially phase away some of the online learning programs, which would be more cost effective long run. And then we also, myself, I make recommendations for policy changes, handbook updates and such. And I continue to collaborate with the school board and the personnel that are up there supporting. So with that being said, I'm going to ask our individual staff members to come up, introduce yourselves, and just share a little bit about what you do to help support the program up there. So Andrea, do you want to get started, business manager?
Andrea Stewart, business manager. I create the budget, do budget revisions, maintain the budget, do any reporting or reports that anybody requests. The budget for West 2 added $2.353 million into my tracking. That's 213 new line items that I have to track and manage. With that also comes payroll, payroll taxes, which includes federal, state, unemployment. Those are done quarterly and bi-weekly. I do all the PSERS reporting for retirement. That's the employee and the employer side. Occupational privilege tax. With that voting being in Allegheny Township, we now have employees located here in Richland, and they're in Allegheny. I approve all purchase orders, making sure that those purchase orders were in the budget. Before approving them, making sure that all the account coding is correct. The West 2 information all gets included in our annual financial report that is done yearly. All the staff benefits have to be posted into our financial software. I review all tuition invoices, verifying the daily rates and the amount of days attended. Everything that our auditors require has to be pulled, documentation, purchase orders, canceled checks. PIMS reporting gets done on all those staff members that are new West 2 employees. And then all the inventory has to be tracked. All of computers, all the new vocational items that were purchased, that all has to be reported to our valuation engineers so that depreciation can be recorded. I'm sure there are other things that I do and I just didn't realize, but these are the main things that I do week in, week out that help support the West 2.
Just keep in mind too that we're also building home school districts, so that's something that's the responsibility of the business manager as well, the revenue coming in and the expenditures going out. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrea.
Michelle, do you want to talk a little bit about your role and how that ties into some of that building as well?
Sure. I'm Michelle Austin. I'm the attendance officer and homeless liaison and foster point of care, also the PIMS administrator. So I'm one of the few that were, Dr. McDivitt and myself were the only ones from the Mays days. So we had a little bit of experience with this type of program, but this was new to us, taking on the education piece. So my duties kind of begin with enrollment and go through discharge. At the beginning of the program, I spent a lot of time drafting new forms, setting up a spreadsheet for tracking with the new building secretary and helping her get accustomed to the different things that we would need. I gather data quality reports for the new enrollments. I'm involved in the enrollment of the new West 2 students. I work with the building secretary, Melissa, and we make sure we get the necessary paperwork. And I work closely with the principal. And I work closely with Dr. McDivitt at this time as well. I get the PA secured for all students at the detention center. We do, I have to look up all the 9th grade entry dates for those students too through PIMS because a lot of those students have been retained or not because of the different placements. So we do have to dig on those sometimes. I review all the enrollment information that's coming in. At times, the last few months I've assisted with gathering records as necessary. I'm involved with the Board of State determinations if a student has been, if parents have lost their rights to the child's education decisions. I get involved in those, work with Andrea and Melissa on those. In October, I do the student reporting for the state. During the school year, I do course reporting, child accounting reports, industry credit reporting. So all those reports go in. There's weeks that I spend on just one report. So those aren't just like pull the data out, send it right in. It is pouring over the data, making sure everything is lined up. And then once it's submitted, then there's reviewing those reports. Sometimes PPE will send it back, say, this is your data last year, this is your data this year. Do you see any complications or any issues there? So I do review all of those. I'm involved in the discharges as the foster point of care. And we do have bid meetings. I review the billing invoices each month that Melissa sends out and sends to Andrea. I look over that. I assist the billing secretary with 4605s for locating parents as needed. Sometimes we don't have an address and we've got to call around and find out who is the educational decision maker and where the parents are so that we can build that home district. As I said before, I do work very closely with the billing secretary and the West 2 principal regarding the enrollments and records and invoices. I submit the Act 80 calendar to the state for approval. As I mentioned, I'm involved with all the withdrawals as well, and I maintain accurate West 2 data for all the reporting. And I also attend the weekly meetings with the ROP ACV staff and then other duties as assigned or requested that I do. And as the program's growing, we're finding that there's more little things that can be added here and there that we need to track, and I'm sure as it grows even more, we'll find some areas that we can, that we may have to cover as well, so. Anybody have any questions for me?
And also, just keep in mind too, that we have 42 kids up there right now, but there was 12 students that had left and 12 students that had came over the summertime. So we do have a revolving door, so the job's constantly moving. Thank you, Michelle. Courtney, can you talk about accounts payable, please?
Michelle, I did the canvas for like 10 years before I retired, and I don't envy you at all. It's a major headaches and a major paperwork task, so.
I'm Courtney Chalmers, and I do accounts payable, and I'm also the focus point of contact for the district in West 2 and David's secretary. I do a lot of different things all day long, but the biggest thing that I support for West 2 is our focus, which is the database, which we created from scratch because we had nothing to begin that database with. And every day there's something new that we have to do with that. It's not like the regular district here where kids come in, they're here all year, and they get credits. Kids are here a couple days, they can get credits different ways, so it's constantly learning and building that database. I do report cards and transcripts for any of the courts, for Minnie or Julie or anybody else in the program needs something from that, I do that on a daily basis. I also assist the teachers in learning focus. It is brand new, not brand new to the district, but we're on our third year with it. So every teacher that comes into West 2 has never worked with focus, so it's a learning curve for them as well. And if they need something, they either call me or text Aaron, Jeff, or these guys over here, they help support them as well. I place all the orders, all the purchase orders, pay all the bills for West 2, anything that is needed for the building, teachers, supplies, I take care of that. School messenger, I update those, I attend meetings as needed to help support the teachers. I also maintain rolling over each, during the summer, I make sure that all the databases and everything are ready for the next year. And with West 2 being a grant, everything has to have a purchase order. So anything that they need up there. So it's created quite a bit more work. As you can see, that's my stack of invoices I need to work on. There is just a ton of stuff that gets ordered for up there because they have nothing. So it's constantly, even just down to special pencils. So we're gonna search for certain things and special erasers, like it's not just normal supplies. I also work with the teachers to work on their budgets, what they have, what they need to spend, things like that. I maintain all the security records for the teachers. I update the handbooks, anything that they may need for up there. I create a calendar for the West 2 program. I think that's it. And I'm sure there's probably other things, but the majority of the day is paying bills.
Thank you, Tim.
Tammy Thompson, Board Secretary and Central Office Secretary. And my work with West 2 begins after the board has approved to advertise for teaching. So once I get that, I put it in the papers, the local papers, get it to the webpage, the Facebook page, and post it for 10 days. And during that 10 days, I collect all of the applications, copy those for a committee that's going to be reviewing those applications. And once they've reviewed them and decided who they wanted to interview, then I contact the interviewees, bring them in, and sometimes they have a second round. So then it goes back before the board to be hired, which is on the agenda. And once they're hired, then I forward correspondence to them requesting all the information that we need to have in the district, all their clearances, their insurance paperwork, any in-house documentation that they need to complete. And they can't come into work until we have all this completed. I maintain keeping track of all of their clearances to make sure they're all dated, whether correctly, and file their health, vision, dental, life, and disability insurance paperwork, and enter them into the FIS system. We have to keep track of everything once it's been received. And once they're enrolled in their health, I would maintain if they have any changes like a death or a marriage or a birth, keep that updated. I also keep track of their sick, emergency, and personal days. At the beginning of this new school year, they'll all get a letter from me, a salary letter, which includes the total numbers of those days that they'll have coming for the upcoming year. And that's just kind of like ongoing maintenance and paperwork like I do for AC Valley. Daily, we answer emails, forward items needed as requested to the West 2 staff, keep track of anyone who would be off FMLA, and other duties that are assigned. So, I mean, it's different from day to day, week to week. My work isn't probably anywhere near what these girls do, but it is time consuming to make sure we have all this stuff in order for them before they get started.
Thanks.
That's right.
Anna, can we have you next come up and talk about your role in the special education process?
Good evening, I'm Anna Smith, I'm a school psychologist. So as Dr. McDivitt alluded to, chapter 14, 15, and 16 are huge. So that's special education, gifted 504. Currently, about 75 to 80% of the students there receive special education services. So ensuring compliance in that area is significant. We have had the Bureau Director of Special Education from PDE into the facility. We know that we can anticipate cyclical monitoring. We also know that some places like this have not done so well in that area, and so we are trying to ensure that we are in compliance in that. I work very closely with our Director of Special Education, Dr. Maines, as well as Minnie and Julie. That to me has been one of the many blessings in this, honestly, is getting to work and know some of these folks because we have some awesome people here. So we work collaboratively quite a bit. A lot of these kids who come in, that their records are missing, sometimes years at a time, so we're trying to piece things together. I ensure that I'm tracking all the timelines, due dates. Again, kind of tag teaming, as Dr. McDivitt said, we had a ton of kids discharge and a ton come in the summer. I was the only one here, so I'm creating profiles, I'm getting out NORMs, I'm doing paperwork, contacting parents, we're tracking things down, ensuring that we're staying on track for the start of the year for them. We have to have IEP meetings for all these students within 30 days of enrollment. So for instance, Elizabeth, our secretary, came in one day to schedule about 20 meetings with all of that turnover. So we're trying to ensure all of the compliance there. I complete all reevaluations for those students, which can vary with what all that entails. That's based off of the team. If there are requests for evaluations, I sit down, we have those meetings, I complete all of that. If students have 504s, I track all of those as the 504 coordinator. I've been working now, last year, now that we have Kristen, which is wonderful, looking at benchmark assessments and different opportunities there. We're trying to find ways to be streamlined and fiscally responsible, looking kind of long-term for what's going to be best here, and then that can also fill those needs there as well. Work a lot to contact those parents, guardians, the EDMs, as Michelle mentioned. You know, those are some of those pieces of special education that are so critical because we have to know who the educational decision maker is. It can be a little bit different than looking at other educational decisions when it comes to special education, who can sign documents, who can keep track of that. So honestly, could not do this without these people and Dr. Maines and Elizabeth Regester. Honestly, I think we're a good team. We have things going. You know, there's a lot with getting something like this started, but I would say, you know, a lot is taken home as well. So, you know, not just for me, but for others. I think in 6 months, just for my own self, I tracked like over 160 hours that I worked at home on things. And I know some of these ladies have put in even more than that. So we're doing the best we can to help with this. It's a really good opportunity, and ensuring that what we can take home, we are, so that, we're not having a void here in the district either. So anything else that I'm needed to do or asked to do, I do, but really it's the compliance and special ed, and again, as those kids come in and out, that's always changing. So we're having to keep track of all of that so that when they come in, we want to ensure that we get a nice, clean audit.
Thank you. Julie?
Good evening. My name is Julie Raybuck. I've been a teacher in the district for over 30 years. Dr. McDivitt did the thing, a little activity this morning where everybody stood if you were 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And when you're the last one of the last people standing, you know it's about time to retire. So I'm going to say that I think I have the best West 2 job of all these people. And that's because each one of them is so focused on one activity, special education, building. My job, I get to work with the biggest array of duties up there that I really, really enjoy. I want to say, add to a comment that was made earlier. The best part, as Dr. McDivitt said, I believe, is he brought us in. He didn't bring new people who weren't aware of what's going on. Every one of us stepped in and could do our job right away. What we weren't prepared for, what I wasn't prepared for, was the set of rules that's different in the juvenile justice system as opposed to a public school. Because I'm in public school mode, and I have to change and follow different rules. So my duties up there are more to document, prepare, organize, communicate, register, enroll students. I work very, very closely with Mrs. Lowe, the school counselor, and we sit down and we meet with every student that comes in. We do not want a student to lose out on any work they've already done. We meet with every student, start to develop that rapport with them, ask them where they've been. Some kids are very knowledgeable. We've had kids walking with a transcript in hand. We've had other students that have no idea. They can't give us any information. So we have to start to pick through their past and find out every class they've had. It's also not like Courtney mentioned, or somebody mentioned earlier, that you have a student that comes into a public school and you're like, oh, okay, you've already taken Algebra 1, you've already taken English 9. It's not like that. It's the student who's been out of school for 4 months, hasn't been schooling. It's a student who comes in with 0.12 of a credit of English. So what do you do with that? It's a student who comes in with a transcript that doesn't have has titles that looks like they've done a class, but they've really never done that class. So we have to look at every single class for every single student. And Mrs. Logan and I do that. We do it over and over, and we did it this summer. It takes 40-some students times 6 classes each. We're looking at hundreds of classes, one at a time. So it's very time consuming, but it's a very rewarding job. So I act as a liaison between the West 2 staff, the West 2 teachers, the administration here. I set up all the training for the teachers through the company that we've chosen, we thought was the best student up there, Edgenuity. I review the transcripts, obviously with Ms. Lowe continually, the special education documents with Dr. Baines and Mrs. Smith. I help select classes. I'm kind of the Edgenuity rep. I'm telling them this is what we can offer them. I'm contacting Edgenuity and trying to make changes and adaptations to what they offer and try to get more sources of interest for the students. So my job, I guess the jack of all trades is how I kind of describe it, and really, really enjoy it. I will also say, I just want to add one comment. It's not unusual. Yes, we look at the 20%, but it's also, that's 20% above and beyond. That's Sundays, when I turn on the computer to check my email, and I'll have 5 or 6 already from Sunday morning, afternoon from Dr. McDivitt. That's midnight emails from Mrs. Lowe. That's on vacation. Mrs. Lowe's up at 5:30 in the morning doing her work. So we spend hours way above and beyond. Do the hours sometimes, are they during the school day? Yeah, because they're in session the same as we are. So we do have to go up to meet with the kids during school time and so forth. But it's definitely above and beyond it. And for the two of us, for all of us, so. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Mrs. Love?
Good evening, I'm Minnie Logue, school counselor. You'll hear a little bit of repetitive things from what Julie shared, but I'll kind of go through the process with you when a student comes in. So once we have been notified of their arrival, Julie and I go there and meet with the students and kind of develop a timeline. So as she mentioned, you know, a student maybe went to school here for 2 months, then they moved somewhere else. So it's kind of like pulling all these pieces together to find as many credits as we can to be able to work towards graduation. So many times the student is the best reporter. Sometimes we have a terrible time getting records, so we work as a team to do that. Sometimes I'm even calling other facilities or schools to even question a particular course, like where does that fall in terms of graduation. So once I have a timeline from the student, then we're looking for those transcripts. Once I get them, then I'm reviewing those, preparing a credit count to see, you know, by content area where those credits are at. And then every student has to have a graduation plan because our goal is to prepare the students, hopefully keep them on track for graduation. So once that information is acquired, then we work together to determine the most appropriate coursework while they're in our facility. So, you know, it's not as simple as just Julie and I making some decisions about that. We also have to consider whether or not the student is special education and what those needs may be as well. So as far as day-to-day things, there are many things that I do with the student software. When a student comes in, I have to enter all of those former credits. So sometimes that's pages upon pages of things if a student has bounced around a lot. So I create their schedule in the software, but first I have to create those, put the courses in and create those sections. I also enter grades. I have to finalize grades. We currently have 4 units that are operational at the facility. So when a student comes in, they are assigned to a unit, but often they might have to change units if the dynamics are not working in that particular unit. So then that results in a schedule change for that student. So those come up pretty frequently. As I mentioned, sometimes I'm calling for records or for clarification. I also attend a weekly meeting at Wesco, help oversee graduation projects. Our students do have to complete those as well. Often I'm asked to provide updates for court if the student has a hearing. As Julie mentioned, over the summer, because this was our first year, we spent a lot of time working to finalize all the student grades and then make a new plan and identify what courses they would need for the new school year for students who were maintained there through the summer and started the new school year with us. So something new comes up every day. I can't predict what my day is going to look like or what the needs are going to be, but there's a great deal of collaboration with the team. As Julie mentioned, it is a lot of work. I do enjoy the work, and I guess that's it. Any questions?
I have a question. I know that the beginning of the school year here is very, very busy, especially for your position.
Right.
So, and I guess this is for anybody, but how, given that a lot of the duties for West do come in through the day, how do you kind of prioritize your time? I think at least one of my concerns, I know we're obligated to West we don't have a choice there, but I really feel our students come first. So how do you kind of mitigate that?
Sure. If it's something emergent that I need to take care of immediately, I take care of it. But you know, I'm in early in the morning. I'm there long after school has ended for the day, and a lot of things are taken home. So I have one designated day that I go over there for part of the day. But I mean, it's just managed and prioritized.
And Terry, just keep in mind too, we started at the beginning of August at the West 2 program, so a lot of those early activities that go on at the start of the school year, we've got past that. So it's just day-to-day operations. Now that we start up school down here.
So you have a dedicated schedule, it's not like you're up there multiple times a week. It's-
No.
You have a dedicated day, in your schedule,
Right.
Those visits.
Yeah, so we've even like projecting for this year, like we worked as a team to determine like what is the best day that we can be there because we have to schedule IP meetings, we have to have graduations. We have to meet with any new students. So generally, students come into the facility on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So usually if we're there on Thursday, then we can meet anyone who has come in for the week. Any other questions? Thank you.
We started this summer meeting on Thursdays, and collaboratively with Writing Passage, and I think that has helped significantly. I felt throughout the school year, sometimes we were all over the place, it was brand new, kind of our heads spinning, but that has helped having that weekly check-in. And so something we kind of go in, we have our questions, where are you with students, and then there'd be follow-up that happens electronically. So that consistent communication every week, I think, has really helped. So I'm personally looking forward to continuing that during this year, so we don't feel so all over the place.
And then finally, Kristen.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kristen Thurman, I'm the Director of Education. And while I am new, and the title of Director of Education sounds new to the district, federal programming and the coordination of federal programming has been here since the AC Valley School District has become a school-wide Title I program. In the past, there have been teachers that have been paid a stipend to organize and correspond with PDE regarding our Title I, Title II, and Title IV that is received down here in the district, along with the state grant compliances. The federal programming, as it pertains specifically to SJU, is a whole other beast, if you will. It is the Title I, Part D, Subpart 1. It's a mouthful, but my role really has two components to it. It has the federal programming components and the curriculum programming components. And back to reference the Title I, Part D, Subpart 1, what I do at WestU is to write, review, and submit the Title I school plan. That is something that has to be done every year. Along with that, I correspond with PDE, and if you've ever had the chance to correspond with the Pennsylvania Department of Education, that can be a job in and of itself. We have to go through a rigorous compliance monitoring and audits up there regularly, and that all pertains to the grant funding. Also, I attend the PD conferences, professional development conferences when available to assure that we are in compliance. I bring that back to Dr. McDivitt. We review that. We talk with our team about whether or not we are in compliance in a whole host of areas, specifically special ed, and what we're offering as well. And also relating information about the federal programming. On the curriculum side of things, I'm working with Minnie and Julie very tightly to streamline the curriculum. We are an interesting department out there when it comes to graduation paths. We do want to provide these students with graduation opportunities for certain. And some of those graduation opportunities, some of those certificates can have the AC Valley name on it. So we want them to be rigorous. We want to make sure that we are providing resources for them. So I've been working with Minnie and Julie, as I said, to really have an emphasis on some of our Keystone Trigger courses, which are the Keystone Algebra 1, Biology, and also our English Language Arts Keystone courses. Supporting graduation requirements by reviewing grade reporting and making sure we are standard aligned. That's super important when it comes back to our compliance and the certification that the students are receiving that may have an AC Valley stamp on it. As Anna mentioned, I am securing and administering all of the benchmark assessments. We have entered a learning curve with those, as some of the other folks have been mentioning as well. This is a secular kind of involvement, and when the students come in, they may be there for 6 months, but those assessments need to happen, and I've been working on securing those and working with the team to run those assessments. Also, something new that has been popping up is the GED programming. Some of the students that we get are court-ordered to complete a GED program. So we have that up and running. I represent the team at leadership meetings, streamlining assessments by purchasing. The assessment purchasing by being a contact person for the educational portion of that. Along with that, I attend the weekly meetings that everyone spoke so highly of, and has really helped our team unify with the rite of passage staff. And most currently, I've been working on the senior project requirements and the rubrics for graduation, and simply support the AC Valley teachers that are up there by running professional development, providing resources to them, and conducting staff meetings as well. Questions for me? Thank you.
And then just finishing up, CJ?
Go ahead. I just say something.
Just real quick, just keep in mind that we do have the program up and running, things are going very well, but our clientele are the correction students that are court ordered there. So all the staff members that introduce themselves, that work with the kids up there, we're all SEM trained. So that safe crisis management, that, if a student becomes a danger to themselves or others, then we can safely protect ourselves and the other students around them. So there's that other component of it. It is a secure facility behind 2 locked doors is where the educational programs are.
I just want to say thank you guys, because we didn't say we'd like to do this, we said we're doing this because we had to. And you have all stepped up to the plate and done a great job, so we do appreciate all the extra work that you're doing to support that program. And I guess it all comes down to care about the kids that are up there. I know they're not from here, but they're still children and they still need an education, so thank you. CJ.
More about them, aren't you? I just wanted to elaborate on that too, we asked you guys to come in, thank you, didn't have to. That's all, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Okay. Sorry? Oh, yeah, we forgot about Jeff and Aaron and all the extra work they do. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that about that. I didn't want to pull Aaron down because I think it's doing some duty tonight.
So I'm Mr. Ray Buck, I'm the IT admin for the school district. I'm just gonna go over here. Much of what we do at West Do is similar to what we do here. So we're given a request for technology, or a need request for technology. We find the appropriate hardware, and once we get our hands on it, we'll tag it, log it into our system and configure it, and then we deploy it, manage it, and the related IT systems that go along with that. So I'm gonna go over some of the hardware that we actually deployed up there at the school. 60 student Chromebooks, 12 teacher Chromebooks, 20 CAD workstations, 3 Windows desktops, 8 Windows laptops, 3 network printers, 9 desktop printers, 5 interactive smart displays, and 25 Apple iPads. And some of that stuff, there's not a lot to do. The USB connected printer, but when you get to something like 25 Apple iPads that have to be managed, that's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that. So Aaron's going to go over some of the specific software that's needed for that, for those hardware items.
So with all that hardware comes a bunch of software that has to be managed on all of those machines, and a bunch of different online learning platforms that we have to deal with. So amongst those, we have to filter the internet content up there. Pretty heavy. And the very few things that the kids are allowed to see on the internet up there changes weekly as their lessons change. So we have to lock and unlock things, and that's time consuming. That's our securely content filter, which we also use here at the school. So it's not a whole lot of extra, but it's some extra. So we also have a program called Securely Classroom. That allows the teachers to view in real time what their students are doing up there. So they can step in and lock the computers if they need to. As Jeff mentioned, we have the iPads as well, and that runs off of a program called Jamf. So we are able to do a lot of that remotely, thankfully, and that goes kind of hand in hand with the admin console that manages all the Google accounts and all the Chromebooks that we manage up there. And that's the nice thing about some of this is that we are able to do it from here. So we're not pulled from AC Valley very often. Only when there's a big hardware need we really needed to go up there. So a lot of the work takes place here on campus. On top of that, we have a program called Chrome Deep Freeze and Win Select, which handles our Windows policies on those Windows machines up there. They're also very locked down. We handle enrollments for the Smart Automation Certification Alliance. Those are some certificates that the kids are able to take a test for up there. We handle that. We handle the enrollment and rostering for Renaissance Strathbridge, which Indiana mentioned is the benchmarking software for when the kids first get in there. That's how they kind of track how they're doing. And we also set up and maintain the Pearson VUE GED testing suite. Additionally, recently over the summer, we've added a lot of vocational hardware, and a lot of that also has software. So just a few things that are added there are the Vector CAD software, that's computer-aided design software, GradCAD Print, which handles the 3D printing, Nero Studio, which is a robotic software, AutoCAD Fusion and SolidWorks, which is another CAD software dealing with 3D, the Epilogue Laser Suite, which handles their engraver, and finally the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite, which they use for pretty much all that stuff up there. So that's all the stuff that was added just right here this summer. So there's a lot going on up there, but thankfully we're able to stay mostly on campus and dedicate primarily our time, obviously, to AC Valley. The last thing we want is for the technology here to suffer at all from the program there. We don't want to at all let that happen. And as far as I can tell so far, we haven't. So hopefully we can keep that trend going. Do you have anything else, Jeffrey?
I don't really have a lot more. I mean, we maintain their accounts, all the email accounts and all that stuff too. We didn't go over that. And that's like a daily thing almost. Passwords, just basic stuff that you do. Unless you do that, you wouldn't know. But that's like an everyday thing almost.
Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, are we ready to move on?
We are.
Okay, all right, so before we go on, or do we have any board concerns at this time? Okay, not hearing any, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. If you would look at that, it goes from A through K. Is there anything you would want to be pulled separately to be voted on that's on the consent agenda?
Can we do 8 separately?
I'm sorry?
Can we do 8 separately?
A, the field trips? Okay, we can do that separately. Okay, anything else? Okay, then we'll start with item A, which are the conference and field trips request as presented on the attached form. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved and seconded. Discussion? Do you have anything you want to add, Brady, or?
I just wanted to pull separate. I'm going to abstain from that because the district is paying for the event.
Understood, because you're attending the PASBO conference,
Yep.
or the PSBA conference. Gotcha. Okay. So, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Is that an aye for or against, Patty?
For.
Thank you. Abstentions?
Aye.
Brady? Okay, all those, then motion passes. Sorry, get ahead of myself. Okay, so now we'll look at the consent agenda, and are we okay to go ahead and vote on B through K? There isn't anything else you want pulled? Okay, do I have a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion on any of those items? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Sorry, I'm in favor.
Thank you, Patty. Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. All right, so we'll move on to finance and purchase. Patty isn't here tonight, so Brady, would you do finance and purchase?
Sure. Letters A through G, I'm going to lump together. As attached on the agenda, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter H, cafeteria report from Stacy.
Stacy's not here this evening.
Letter I, consideration to approve removing Andrea Stewart from the following accounts with Farmers National Bank: athletics, cafeteria, and scholarship. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, we have our new business manager here tonight. We want to welcome you to the group. And this is kind of just the process of getting that transformation to happen. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter J, consideration to approve adding Aaron Morrison to the following accounts with Farmers National Bank: athletics, cafeteria, and scholarship. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? And this is Erin. If you haven't had a chance to talk with her yet, our new business manager, we're glad to have you on board. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter K, consideration to approve the reappointment correspondence from Mark C. Turnley dated July 24th, 2025, regular audit and single audit for the fiscal years 23-24, $14,750, 24-25, $15,000, and 25-26, $15,000 as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to personnel, and it's quite lengthy. Carrie, would you mind covering that?
Letter A, consideration to approve appointing Dr. David McDivitt as interim principal at West facility beginning with the 2024-25 school year until vacated principal position has been filled. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
We are currently advertising. We have 4 candidates right now, so hopefully we can be able to present a person to the school board in September.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
B, consideration to approve advertising for a long-term substitute school counselor for the maternity leave beginning November 1st, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve advertising for 2 full-time one-to-one aides beginning with the 2024-25 school year. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
I'd like to lump letters G through O. Is that okay? Do you only for
Yes.
any job description that anybody wants me to do separately from that motion? All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we consider to approve the job descriptions for following positions: attendance officer, student information officer, business manager, central office board secretary, high school cyber school coordinator or curriculum specialist, district secretary, principal Quest 2, school psychologist, junior senior high counselor, superintendent secretary / accounts payable, technology technician, and technology technician support specialist as attached. So
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Just remember that is to reference the new activities they're doing at West U, that we're putting those in their job descriptions. Okay? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion's carried.
Letter B, consideration to approve increasing secretarial, cafeteria, and custodial substitute hourly rates from $10 per hour to $13.66 per hour beginning with the 2024-25 school year. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
Was this in the support contract to go up this year, or is just something district going out and trying to entice for more people to apply, or?
Yes, the subs aren't part of the contract, Brady, so this is just the school district trying to attract more qualified individuals.
Okay.
The only other question I have, David, is just making sure that we don't have anyone making below that 1366 threshold now. That would be a permanent staff member. I don't want to bring somebody in as a sub making more than a permanent.
I think that's why we went with 1366.
Child-specific age, that 13 to 16.
Okay, that's what I meant.
That was the, so that we wouldn't do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
Consideration to accept the letter of resignation as assistant softball coach, Kathy Walzak, effective July 7th, 2024, as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Consideration to approve advertising for the vacated assistant softball coach position. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Consideration to accept the letter of resignation as elementary girls basketball coach from Faye Gibson, dated August 1st, 2024, as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Consideration to approve advertising for the vacated elementary girls basketball coach position. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? CJ?
We made it correct in the job, however it was written, so it's we paid correctly.
Yes.
Okay.
We've stipulated that that's, if we hire two people, that it's split. If we have a girls coach and a boys coach, that salary is split. Am I correct? Dr. McDevitt?
Yeah, that's currently how we've always done it. We are in the third year of a teacher contract. That's something we can have a discussion as far as maybe we want to separate those two out. But the person being hired on will be under the current term, and it's split between the boys and
And
girls.
that all in writing, it's all known. That the person being hired will,
It's just been past practice.
can we get it in writing?
Yeah, Tammy, when we do, can you remind me that whenever we send out that offer letter, that we specifically state that in there?
Do we necessarily have to have, what if it's just one person?
Just one person,
They get the whole amount. I mean, they may be boys
If they
and
do
girls,
both,
but,
yeah.
yeah. So there may not be two people, it just depends who.
But if that happens, I want to make sure all these.
Yes, good idea. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Consideration to accept letter of resignation as a part-time 3-hour-per-day custodian from Janice Stefanacci as attached. Janice's last day of the district will be Thursday, August 15th, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Did I skip?
No, you didn't.
No,
Don't mind me.
no, you're good. We're on B.
Trying to check everything off. Consideration to approve advertising for the vacated part-time 3-hour-per-day custodian position. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Consideration to accept the letter of resignation as part-time 3.5-hour-per-day high school lunch monitor from Instructional, dated August 5th, 2024, as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Consideration to approve advertising for the vacated part-time 3.5-hour-per-day school lunch monitor position. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Consideration to approve the letter of resignation as full-time child-specific aide from Angela Redmond, dated August 7th, 2024, as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Is the advertisement rolled into that other motion that we already?
Yes, that's correct, Terry. That's the second of the two.
Okay. Consideration to approve hiring Emma Fox upon receipt of all appropriate documentation as assistant varsity cheer coach at a supplemental salary of $1,493. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
I just want to say, and I know I discussed this earlier with Kelly, Emma had been on unions, she was unions hired last year, and we definitely have a discrepancy in the pay scale, what we pay our coaches versus what union is paying their coaches. So we're getting into situations at times, and Emma is one of the ones who is fallen victim to this, where the pay is different. Now, we're locked into this particular salary because of the teacher's contract.
Correct.
Which I was not aware of, but because the coaches' contracts are on that.
It's part of the supplemental that's approved by the teachers union.
Yeah, but I think just to put it out to the board, I think this is something that we need to look at moving forward, so that we are kind of on the same page with union. A lot of our sports are co-opted. I think way more sports are co-opted than not. So we don't want to have this situation happen where we're losing coaches because they were paid one rate and then they come to us and get paid significantly less. So just something to think about as we look to negotiate next time.
And see, union doesn't do it that way. Theirs is a year-to-year contract, and it's not tied to the employee contract or the union contract that we have. It's like a 3-year plan. So that's, yeah, we do need to have a discussion with them and decide how we want to do it. We should both be doing it the same way.
Yeah, and I don't want to see that impact, you know, I don't want to lose a good coach because of it. I don't want to see that impact our sports negatively. So just food for thought as we progress forward.
Carrie, do you know the difference between what like union paid position?
Well, in Emma's particular position, it was significant.
Double.
Yeah, more than double.
Okay.
Okay, you're still up, Carrie.
Oh, we have to go, like, we have a discussion, we need to go.
I'm sorry, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Consideration to approve advertising for junior high assistant cheer coach. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Question.
Okay,
So we'll just have 2 paid junior high cheer coaches, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
and we're doing that because of the numbers.
Right.
I believe there's over 30.
I heard unless you guys have a different number, I heard 30.
I think they
Both
said
schools.
24 or something, junior high.
Both
24
schools is
junior.
around 30.
Is it?
And they felt that that was a lot to ask one coach to supervise, so that's why we're looking at the assistant for this year. Those numbers change, that may change, so. Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve to hire Ross Mosher with 0 years' experience upon receipt of all appropriate documentation as junior high golf coach at a supplemental salary of $885. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve removing Kevin Wetzel as an assistant softball coach effective immediately. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you refresh my memory on this one with Kevin?
We don't have all the paperwork in place, and he failed to submit that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve advertising for an assistant softball coach. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
If Kevin were to reapply and submit all this appropriate documentation, that.
Yes, that's correct. Yep, he'd be considered, it's the clearances, it's the mandated training that's required.
And he's been notified, so it's not like we're just doing this without his knowledge, or his lack of his information that's needed. Okay, you got one more.
We have to vote.
Did we vote?
No?
You guys are messing me up here with all this. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter double E, and I just want to say for the record, I think this is the longest personnel agenda that we've had thus far. Consideration to approve hiring Jennifer Pollock as a long-term emergency certified teacher to begin, beginning August 19, 2024, for maternity leave for employee number 371. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Jenny is a certified teacher, but she's filling in the special ed position, so that's the emergency certification. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. All right, Carrie, if you can lump those if you can.
Yes, so we will lump item F through O, as a continuation of the 20% salary increase in the second year of the WSTU grant. That is, do I need to go through each, like, how do you want me to do this again?
I think just say as delineated on the agenda. It'll be fine, you don't need to read all those.
So I'm going to lump FF through OO, as presented on the agenda. So
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? We heard from those people, most of those people this evening, so. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Carrie. That was a long one. We'll move on to instructional services. CJ, you want to do that?
Yeah, lab and elementary.
Sure. So I just have 3 things to talk about, and then do you want me to just move into talking about the TSI, since that's the second thing? Okay. So the 3 things I have, just building-wise, transportation, all calls went out tonight at 5 o'clock. Families should have gotten a call saying that if you're receiving this call, your child has been assigned to this bus. And we've done that in the past, so they're familiar with that process. The difference this year is the elimination of bus 4, which caused us to have to move some students around to different buses. So I did put in the all-call that students' buses this year may not be the same as last year, and that shouldn't panic anyone, and directed them to our website. Erin confirmed for me just before 5 o'clock when the calls went out that we had updated everything, and I double-checked it according to what the drivers had given me. So families should go there to ensure that when they look at that route, where they live falls within that route. If they see it and it seems very off or not correct, they were encouraged to call the school tomorrow to let us get that fixed. But between Courtney and I and all the contractors, we did go over it several times. And hopefully got it mostly right. But we're happy to take calls tomorrow to answer any questions if people are confused by it. There are also pickup and drop-off times on there. And every year those are estimated for the beginning of the year until the drivers actually get out and drive, and then they tweak them for me if they're 5 or 10 minutes off. That's my biggest concern this year, is because we have moved so many kids around. They did go out and drive the routes in their personal cars, but that's not the same as, whenever you're stopping and picking up kids and all of that kind of thing, and it's all new. So we always tell people to give about 5 to 10 minutes leeway, be out there a little bit early and watching for it. And hopefully we won't be off by any more than that tomorrow, but if we have to fix some things, we'll fix them as we go. It's probably the most nervous I've ever been about the first day of school transportation, just because there's so many new parts to it. But we'll get everybody where they need to be Wednesday afternoon. I just want to remind everybody too that we did a new start time this year, which we didn't put in handbooks. We did an all-call. I think Dr. McDivitt included his all-call. Previously, our late bell was at 8:15, and our instructional day started at 8:20. We talked about this at a former board meeting, but I just want to make sure the community is aware that we are going to make that late bell at 8 o'clock this year rather than 8:15, because that 5 minutes was just not enough time for teachers to get lunch counts and attendance and all of that before the day started. It shouldn't affect too much because our buses unload at 7:40. So the good majority of our students are here at 7:40, 7:45. This would just be for any parent dropping off. And a good majority of our parents also drop off before 8 o'clock. So we're just hoping that that will get everybody in here by 8 o'clock. We can get breakfast over with, and we can get the day started at 8:20, the instructional day. And lastly, I did send out all calls about a week and a half ago about any family whose student was scheduled in a new teacher's homeroom, because we had several new teachers this year. So when the students' report cards went home last year, it just said to be determined on their report card, where it would normally say their new teacher. The teachers themselves also sent out letters to the families, but I just wanted to say publicly, if for any reason someone did not get that call or a letter, please call the school office and Megan can give you the information that you need about your child's teacher. We haven't had any calls so far, so I'm hoping that means everybody got either the call or the letter, or both. So that's all I have building-wise. And then the next part of the agenda is to approve the TSI plan, which we talked about at the workshop. And I emailed out today for you all, and there is a hard copy at your table. I'm not going to read all 25 pages to you, so don't panic. Really, the first 20 pages of that report are analyzing our school data, our Future Ready PA Index, our PSSA results, our local assessment data, and seeing how we're doing there, what are our challenges, what are our strengths. We have to list all of those. Then we choose what strengths or what challenges we need to address. This is a report that we do every year. It's the school-wide Title I plan. This year it was different because we were designated as a targeted support and improvement school due to the students with disabilities under the categories of attendance and achievement. Even though it was one of our subgroups that received the TSI designation, we have to write the plan for all students. So it's written as a plan for our building. And like I said last week, we can always stand to improve everywhere. So on page 21 is if you're looking at what our actual plan is, that's where we set our goals. And then the next section is the action plan, how we're going to reach those goals. So because achievement and attendance were our two areas that we needed to improve on, we did a math goal and an English language arts goal to improve both of those through more robust and efficient Tier 1 programming with our instruction. Without getting too lengthy into the different tiers. Tier 1 is the instruction that all students get. We do have a Tier 2 and a Tier 3 that targets individual student needs on a more regular basis. And we feel like we're pretty solid there. The Tier 1 is where we hit the majority of the content, and we think that's where we need to focus our efforts. So some of the goals that we set were to give common preps to the community rooms, to allow our specialists, like our reading specialist, our math coach, our Title I aide, to have more time concentrated in one community. So they will all be there for a solid hour in each community this year. So that's moves into our action plan from our goals for math and ELA. And then our attendance goal, of course, is to increase attendance above the state standard, which was 72.2%. We set our ultimate goal for the fourth quarter of being at a rate of higher than 80%. And the way that we are hoping to achieve that is through monitoring that through our focus system and at Insight, tracking students who are habitually truant, reaching out to those families to see what the barriers are for their student attending, and hopefully helping them to overcome those barriers and get their kids to school. This plan is a 1-year plan, which I told you last week. So in 22-23, that's the data that was used to designate us as TSI. So the 22-23 data, we have the chance to improve in 24-25. However, Dr. McDevitt shared our Future Ready PA Index. Just the attendance piece has been released. So for 23-24 last year, we brought that attendance up over 80%. For our students with disabilities. So for attendance anyway, we will not be designated again for 23-24, which would be improved in 25-26. It's very hard to follow the game. They identify you, but then they spend a year telling you you're identified, and then the next year you're supposed to improve on it, but we already did. So that's a good thing, that we won't have that. I'm anxious for the achievement data to come out as well to see if we are maybe in the same boat. This will truly just be a one-year TSI designation, and we'll go back to just our regular school-wide title plan. Any questions?
How many students exactly would this have encompassed in that group?
I don't know the answer to it. I mean, it's any student with an IEP. I can't give you that.
There had to be at least 10 to have some.
Yeah,
okay.
11, I think, right? But it's far higher than that. But I can't remember what the exact number is in our students with disabilities group. I can get you that information.
No, I just didn't know if you knew off the top of your head what amount that was, because it is just a subgroup of the whole population, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking like 100 kids. We're
Right.
talking, a couple dozen maybe.
Okay.
But again, we have to plan for
For the whole school,
not
for
just
that,
that subgroup. Yeah.
Thank you, Lori. Consideration to approve the TSI plan for elementary school was attached, so moved.
We've been seconded. I've already had discussion. Is there anything else? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the following participants for the steering committee for the TSI designated elementary school as follows: building principal, chief school administrator, school leaders, teachers, school improvement facilitator, paraprofessionals, if applicable, students, high school only, district rep, community members, parent, children attending the elementary school, socializing instructional personnel, and other individuals determined by the school if appropriate. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on it? I believe all those people are listed in
I
the
was gonna say,
plan.
it's on page 3 is the
Yeah.
steering.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Secretary Board?
I have 3 items, and I'll be very quick. Item number 1, I placed at your seat. Each of you get your very own copy of the high school handbook for this year. Provide some good reading when you have time. Item number 2, the high school schedule. I apologize that it's like microscopic for those of us that have to hold it out here. Some of the core content areas do have class numbers on it, so you can see what the class size is. I do have to make one comment that the elimination of one of my faculty positions this year has impacted class size in a negative way. A lot of those numbers are creeping now up above 25, 26, 27. Mrs. Logan and I have tried to even out some of those courses, but it's very, very difficult. Also, if you look, second period, I have no coverage for study hall. I do have a little bit of flexibility. I'm going to try to exercise that to fix that problem, but it was very, very difficult to get study hall coverage and have somebody for ISS if we do place a kid on in-school suspension. But you can take a look at that in your spare time as well. Finally, a little graphy paper that I put at your desk is, in my opinion, some good news. This is the raw score data for PSSAs and Keystones from the spring testing. I'd first like to say that I'm very proud of my staff at the high school. They worked very, very hard. They've done some things that I've asked them to move on, and they weren't comfortable looking at data, digging down and trying to give specific help to kids. But they've worked with me over the last couple of years, making changes, and I think that it's starting to reflect in our test scores. I haven't seen test scores from other schools, but I would be confident in saying that we are probably in the top 1, 2, or 3 as far as scores go. For instance, you look at the math there, 7th grade proficient and advanced, 32%. That's a low number, but remember that test is a very difficult test. And 3 years ago, we had 0% that were proficient or advanced. That's when we got that TSI designation for math. If you turn over on the back page there, the ELA, you can see we're 50% 7th grade, 57 at 8th grade, 72 on the Keystone. Continuing to make progress there. Science is awesome as always, 63% on the 8th grade PSSA and 53% on Keystone Biology. Our test scores are looking good. And in fact, if you looked at individual student scores, like I've looked at them all summer long, there's a large percentage of kids that are within 5 and 10 points of being proficient. So we're going to continue to look at the data this year. We're going to meet as groups and look at individual students and provide them with the support they need to be successful on this test. And hopefully that translates into continued increases in those test scores. And that is my report.
Thank you. Western Board?
No report, we've already.
Thank you. Federal Programs?
Alrighty, I am going to piggyback a little bit off of what Lori presented with our TSI plan. What you have in front of you is the updated version of the school-wide Title I plan for consideration of improvement today. This exists on the website, it just needed some updating to reflect the TSI designation. Within that handbook on page 13 is the action plan from the TSI plan that Lori has presented already. It is a copy and paste based on our goals and our action plan. And that focus again involves math pacing and instruction, ELA pacing and instruction, and our attendance. Something I want to draw your attention to within the book are things that parents need to be aware of. These items are shared with parents and also posted on our website. And those are the appendix A through E, that is our parental right to know, the Title I family evaluation form, classroom teacher information sheet, the AC Valley School and Parent Compact, along with the Title I parent engagement policy, all within that handbook and posted on the website as well. So that is up for consideration. I don't know if you want to do that now before I move on to my bullet points. That's all I have really to share from the handbook, unless there's any questions.
We can do that.
Okay.
CJ, you want to read that?
Consideration to approve the K-6 school-wide Title I program handbook for 24-25. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Okay, and a couple other bullet points under federal programming. Our Ready to Learn grant, which supports our kindergarten teachers. We just completed our final expenditure report for that, and the new grant cycle has not opened yet. I believe Dr. McDivitt gets first warning of that, and then he sends it on to me to go ahead and complete that. So we'll get that moving. Titles 1, 2, and 4 are in the closeout process for the previous year. They're in that currently, and the new consolidated application is due by the 3rd of September. So I'm working on that right now. TSI plan had to be completed before we could complete that, so we're moving with that as well. As far as state grant goes, I know this is federal programming, but I think this is really important to mention. Our PCCD grant for mental health and safety was approved. We got some education on that today during our in-service, the Stop the Bleed, and we are using some of that funding for the Stop the Bleed kit. That's a mouthful tonight. So we're going to be using that money to purchase that. And I think we decided to go with UPMC. Courtney's not here to confirm that, but we found that those prices were lower under the UPMC offering. I mentioned briefly the WSTU in my presentation about what I do there. The Title I Part D Subpart 1 has just been added to our grant application, so that grant has opened. I talked to Ken from the state, and we have approximately $88,000 to use for transition services. Those services include vocational, technical, and certifications that we may have to offer for the students. 15 to 30% of that has to be used for those services, the transition services, and the other portion, whatever we decide to do, can be put toward anything above the state educational requirements. So we're in the discussion on how we're going to use that with some funding up there and personnel possibly. And also working on the WSTU school-wide plan, and that is due by December. Any questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
District report.
Thank you, CJ. We did have our opening in-service day today. Well attended. We had over 100 staff members down here who was presented with an array of training that included school safety updates, school board policy review, district handbook review, Magellan Healthcare, Swift MD, and we also had a staff picture. In addition, we did have Knox Law down today to present information on the Title IX changes that are required, so we've got everybody to sign off on that. And then Kristen talked about Stop the Bleed. We do want to thank our partners, the Evanston Fire Department, for coming over to present that training. That was an ongoing discussion and one more layer of safety and security here on campus. Tomorrow will be day 2. We'll start off with physical activity. We have a number of different items set up, and then we'll break into building level staff training with their principals, and then we also have the mandated threat assessment training with our threat assessment team, and then we just finish up with the room prep. In addition to that, I wanted to notify the school board as well as the community. I was notified of the T-Mobile grant for the football field renovation. I did submit that thing this past week. $250,000 is available to a school in the United States. And we did meet all the criteria associated with that. And we'll find out more on October 1st if we're eligible for that grant or receive that kind of grant. So I did put down football field, lights, and then, oh shoot, there's one other item in there. I can't think off the top of my head, but it all came up to the $250,000. And we had to have a population of less than 150,000 people in our community, which we met that. And then finally, CJ, I do want to recognize Carrie Armagos from PSBA with 5 years of service. Congratulations, Carrie, for your time served on the school board. And then also Diane Page for 5 years for your time on the school board. Thank you for all you do. And then finally, our school board president, Kelly Terwilliger, 15 years on the school board, and she's been serving as president here for a handful of years and doing a great job. So thank you all for your service and volunteering your time. And CJ, that concludes my.
Thank you. I do have a question. With that grant, was there any monetary matching that the school had to do?
No.
All right, thank you. Okay, consideration to approve United Champion School Memorandum of Understanding between Special Olympics Pennsylvania and the Allegheny Claren Valley High School dated April 4 of 24 through June 30th of 25 as attached. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the following participants for the Act 48 committee for the 24-25 school year that is listed below. So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
We don't have a student rule rep. We possibly have someone in mind.
I will work on that as soon as students come back.
All right, thank you. School pollution board.
This is our first day back.
Thank you.
And I just want to add that Dave Sherman is here with us tonight, our athletic director. We're not going to put him on the spot tonight for a report, but he is going to try and be here at all of our meetings, and he can fill us in on athletics. So thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to policy. Diane, you want to do policy?
Sure.
And you can lump those together, I believe. I think they're all, well, all the first readings, yes.
Consideration to approve the Allegheny Claren Valley School District Title IX regulations attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the Allegheny Claren Valley District Title IX notice of non-discrimination each as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just keep in mind that the high school principal is our Title IX coordinator and the superintendent is the compliance officer. So somebody can't run dual roles just in case there was an issue there. So I just wanted to share that out with the community.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, we're gonna lump the next ones all together. Consideration to approve the first reading of policy 103.1, non-discrimination, policy number 234, pregnant married students is attached, policy number 247, hazing, policy number 249, bullying, cyberbullying, policy number 252, dating violence, policy number 317, educator misconduct, policy number 336, personal necessity reading, policy number 709, building security, policy number 807, operating exercises, gender silence flags, policy number 824, maintaining professional adult student boundaries. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to transportation. Cliff, can I ask you to read? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
At the high school, we had next routers come in and service a couple of the AC units, get their eyes on them. things up to speed. Also, we have a 3-hour position opening up. I think that's had a conflict with our school schedule, so it's not a good full position. District-wide, we have our yearly fire extinguisher testing and fire alarm system testing. Those are the lines. Our summer help, 3 students at each building, they finished up the systems, so it's great to have help with summer cleaning. The one truck we had issues with inspection last year, we were notified of Dr. Pass, so we were able to fix that in-house, get that fixed. Being a pass welder, we were able to do that in-house, get everything up to speed. It passed with no issues. And then just getting school supplies in, getting everything organized and distributed, and getting ready for the function.
James, if I may add one thing, we also had our water tested internal in both buildings for any kind of pesticides or heavy metals, and we're still waiting for the results of that as well. We get the outside testing, but we also go a step further and test it internally.
We do every year, I assume?
Yes.
We go above what we're required to do, I believe, to make sure the water's safe. Okay, we'll move on to transportation. John, would you do that for us?
Consideration to approve the request from Emil Myers, Transportation Incorporated, to add Carol Schweitzer, upon receipt of all appropriate documentation and an interview to administration as a driver. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the request from Emil Myers, Transportation Incorporated, to add a 2016 Honda Odyssey number 3091 to her fleet. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the request from Tracy Irwin Transportation to add Alan Warner upon receipt of all appropriate documentation and interview with administration as a driver. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the request from Clint Nace to add the following vehicles to his fleet. 2007 Dodge Grand Caravan, number 0203, and 2015 Dodge Grand Caravan, number 4316. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is there an age range that the vans have to be within to be approved?
No, there isn't one set.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the bus/van driver list for the 2024-2025 school year as attached. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to miscellaneous. Brady, would you do that for us?
Sure. Consideration to approve reestablishing the football committee with the following participants: Clifford Adams, James Best, Stephen Fuzzer, Brady Fight, Dayton McDivitt, and Lynn Byers. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So I said it during our workshop meeting, I'll say it again here so the public is aware. This is not going to be a quick process by any means. This is going to be years in the making to get the football field playable to where we need it to be, where the insurance company and the engineers are going to find it acceptable to play on. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a multi-year process here. If we're going to put all the time and money into it like everybody wants to, it has to be done the right way the first time around, so we don't have to redo it again.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Okay. And motion carries. Gonna say, you probably need to abstain from that since you guys are voting for yourself. Okay, the next one, Brady.
Consideration to approve establishing a facilities committee, participants to be determined. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay,
When do you need people to go on the committee, or?
I think Dr. McDivitt would accept, at any time, those people that are interested, and then we'll get that committee up and running. We're establishing it now, so it can be active, so. And that's basically for all the facilities on the campus, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Yes.
If we go back to the football field renovation committee, it's just my opinion, but I feel like we should have either Dave Sherman or a coach or somebody from that realm to maybe represent some of the other, Bill, or somebody to represent coach's perspective. I just feel like we need to have a full, well-rounded balance, and to me, that piece is missing from that committee.
I thought we were gonna have a coach.
And I'm not throwing him under the bus, Dave. Just saying, like, I'll throw Bill under the bus instead, but.
Well, I think this gets us started, and then I'm sure people can be added to the committee as it moves forward. They know once they start meeting, they'll know what they need and who they need support from, so.
I'm gonna hold you to the answer on this. I would like to hear an answer on this. She brought it up as part of the.
We just gave you an answer. The committee will be
No, I'm
meeting.
tired of you just passing them on.
Excuse me, sir. You have your time to speak. You're not speaking at this moment. So I will clarify, after the committee meets, they can justify who they might need to be on that committee. Would you like to leave, sir? Because I don't need to put up with here. Can we escort him out, Mr. Sitler? Thank you. Okay, the committee will determine who they need extra on that committee to help with this. We all want to get the process moving correctly. So at this time, we will ask those people they need, Carrie will add to it. I'm sure we will. Okay, Brady, would you like to continue?
Sure. Career Center report, a copy of the July 22 Joint Operating Committee minutes are attached. I was not at the last meeting. David, would you give an update there?
We had our last custodian resign up there, and we're struggling to fill that position up there. So that was a big discussion as far as going out and potentially bringing in a contractor service to do the custodial work. So that was the bulk of the discussion that we had. I know Tracy's working on a couple of different grants and reports and such, but that was a big thing that we were focused on. Great.
Thanks, David. IU report?
We did not meet in July. That's our month off. The August meeting will come on Wednesday the 20th.
Thank you. Correspondence, letter received from the parents of the AC Valley cross-country team. Technology committee?
We have not met yet for this new school year.
Athletic committee? No meeting. Finance committee?
We haven't met.
Any old business? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is there any old business? Under new business, we do have one item to add, and that's to approve. We have 2 letters for cross-country runners that we are asked to approve that they can run independently. So we have 2 students who would like to be, is there 2 or 3 there?
There's 3 there.
There's 3, okay. 3 letters, thank you, to be approved to run independently. We need to approve that as a school board, so all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, any other new business? Who seconded that?
I will.
I don't know, Diane is. Okay. Yeah, you can have a copy of this. I'll give it to you. He's actually going to document it. Okay, folks, thanks for hanging in there for a long meeting tonight. I appreciate all your time, and at this time, CJ's already ahead of me. Second, okay, thank you.